Okay, everyone. So, good evening. So, let's start the class for today. So, today we will go through the SWOT analysis, and I will go through your SWOT analysis as well. But here, let's do a very much mostly towards the business analysis type of SWOT. So, Monica, are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And is my voice clear, Monica?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So students, now coming into the piping SWOT analysis, you already know the basics. That is, this is a quoted company like that. So I can just mention here, like I can just write strong establishment. So one thing I can specifically say is strong establishment, because if you observe students, they have founded in the year of 1852, if I'm not mistaken, and currently a quoted entity, currently a quoted entity as well. So students, now this is generally a strength, but anyone can observe it. But let's be very much towards the business. So Malit, towards the business, do you find any strength we have towards the current competitive environment? Monica,
Sir,
any strengths for the current competitive environment, 2022?
they are market leaders, sir.
Very good. Market leaders in the form of revenue. That's a good one. How many percentage? 23 percentage. Students, now you are the finance manager. So please be kind enough to be very much quantitative wise also stronger with your company. So that's a good one. But one more thing, students, that you all did not say is the black tea. Now, if you see the black tea, very much, I can say position. That means whenever people think about black tea, towards the Northlandia customers, towards whom the Northlandia consumers, correct? Because you observe very carefully in this case study, we are only producing black tea. We are not producing green tea. In this case, we are not producing green tea. We are only producing black tea in the situation. So just keep in mind, they are very much strong in the black tea market, students, because this is very much important. And the other one we can specifically write down is first mover. Again, observe it very carefully. First mover for tea bags. First mover for what? Tea bags. That means for tea bags, they are the first mover. They are the first mover. So students, shall we go through the threat as well? So the threat is not difficult, students. So the opportunity. So one opportunity we do have is uh, product development, and I can specifically say to green tea, because at the moment, students, the green tea is not at all a product that we have produced. Malit, can you confirm with me, Malit? Is it fine? We are not at all having green tea at the moment. So that is one opportunity that we can consider at the moment. And there are some other teas as well. I'll just mention it. So the other one is pod tea. And then the other one we have is the green tea, pod tea, and the other one is what, students, if I'm not mistaken, ready to drink, if I'm not mistaken. Yes,
Iced
on
tea, sir.
iced tea,
Cold tea.
the ready to drink, that is the cold tea. So they have given this as well. These are the basic aspects of this enterprise when you are organizing the business. Now, one more thing, students, that you need to be very much careful is we have a strong blender team, because students, if you observe, the blenders are the people who generally adjust the taste. Because if you observe, whatever the tea that is purchased from the auctions will not give the same taste. So the blenders are very much important to make sure the tea is generally tasting as per the requirement of the consumers. So students, that is one more aspect of the strength at the moment. So students, any questions you have, you can ask me in this aspect. Is that clear, Monica, for the moment?
Yes, sir.
So one weakness we generally have is students, only one factory. Only one factory. Again, listen carefully, only one factory with 700 staff. So the problem is students, if you have only one factory with 700 staffs, there can be a threat. The threat can be example. In case of fire, in case of fire, what is our backup? What is our backup? Are you clear with what I'm saying there, Monica? Yes or no?
Yes,
Because
sir.
you have only one factory, the weakness that can end up as threat as well, students. So what can be our backup? So that is one aspect that you need to keep in mind. And this strong blender team, actually they have six members who generally test the tea as well. So that is one more aspect that you need to keep in mind. So students, I want one threat, very sensitive threat. Can someone tell me what is the most sensitive threat for the following business? For the following business, what is the most sensitive threat? I'm just asking from you. In this case study, what do you think is the most sensitive threat?
Sir, can I tell, sir?
Yes, please.
Sir, Blender team, in case any member leaves the company, it will be a threat because that is the strong team.
Okay, but the worst case scenario I can generally say is, Monica, is the tea plantations, if you observe, is generally located in what type of countries? Developing countries. They have specifically mentioned. So the problems in the developing countries are what? What are the major problems? Poor working conditions. Correct, Monica? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Because
sir.
if you have been to any tea plantation, you will understand the working conditions are really poor. And
Yes,
I
sir.
can say here poor wages and rates. Do you agree with that, Monica? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So the main threat that we are facing is we are in a developed country, but our supply is coming from a developing country. So there can be human right violations. What do you think, Monica? Yes or no? Can there be human rights violation?
Yes,
Just
sir.
asking from you. High level chances are there. So students, any questions in this you can ask me. If you're fine with that, can you quickly put a Y in the chat box? But this is a very critical aspect, I can generally say, because if you observe a quoted company like piping, can definitely have allegations, propagandas coming in the future relating to the suppliers where they are sourcing the product, students. So students, just make sure that you are clear with this aspect, because something wrong goes out, everything will end up into a bigger threat at the end. So students,
So,
and yes,
but in this case, but they also have a robust CSR system as well.
correct. They do have not a robust CSR. They have just a CSR, because
CSR,
if you
right?
use the term robust,
Mm,
that integrated reporting comes.
mm,
Because here they do not follow any reporting type, but instead of a reporting type, they are providing supports to local charity only.
mm.
The thing is, do we have any evidences, or do you have any source documents for this?
Yes,
That is the
yes, no, no,
question.
no, no, no,
So,
no.
so there is a bigger issue here, and this
Mm.
can come into an integrated reporting question. So thanks for
Correct.
raising that. So students, if you do not mind, can you please write down a note below this integrated reporting? Because there is a section called integrated reporting. We will practice that in our mocks. So I will explain that also. So can you write down integrated reporting, students? Integrated reporting, and it's an F2 area where we generally disclose both financial and non-financial activities as per a framework. As per what, students? As per a framework. So students, can you please make sure that this is clear in this explanation at the moment, so that you get the point of view. So that's how, students, we need to connect it. Well done, Malit. That's how we should be able to connect our knowledge
So
into application.
currently, aren't they following this because it says that they are following the IFRS standards as well,
No,
adhering the
no, no. IFRS standard is different. Integrated reporting is not a part of IFRS standard.
IS.
Integrated reporting is a part of non-financial
So,
reporting.
yes, correct. Okay.
So students, I believe that is clear for you at the moment, but just remember one thing, students, this can definitely have a major impact. Now, Monica, coming into a question. Now, if you see a developing country, if you see one major problem is the standard of living, correct? So the
Yes.
problem happens is, Monica, is if a country which is developed is coming to acquire a plantation in a developing country, they cannot only see the financial factors, they need to also see the non-financial factors. Example, Monica, there can be a situation of a merger or an acquisition where you may find it worthwhile financially, but non-financially it may not be worthwhile. Are you understanding that point of view, Monica?
Yes, sir.
So students, the main concern here is the threat is the tea plantation, that is the developing countries. You need to be very careful. And one more thing, what they have. So I will just write down here. It's one opportunity we have here is, I can just say, we can introduce non-financial reporting, such as, can you please tell me, it is known as integrated reporting. What reporting, students? Integrated reporting. Get this point of view very clearly, students. It's not so complicated. It's a very basic application at the moment. So students, that is one more thing that we need to be very much concerned with as a threat. So another thing is, it's an opportunity and it's also a threat as well. So one thing is, students, just remember, frankly speaking, they give this just to make yourself comfortable with the industry. They have mentioned something specifically called decaffeinated, decaffeinated tea. Monica, did you see this, Monica?
Yes, sir.
Decaffeinated
News
tea.
article.
News article. That means they are specifically stating that the tea that is produced may have caffeine as per the medical articles. So there are opportunities that we can move ahead with the decaffeinated teas. Are you clear with what I'm saying there, Monica? Yes or no? So
Yes,
can
sir.
I write down one more point here? Health updates regarding the tea tea and caffeine, because they said when you are consuming tea with high level of caffeine, it may definitely affect your sleeping pattern. The sleeping pattern will get affected. Are you clear with that, Monica? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So other students, if you are fine with that, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box, students? Because just make sure that you are able to apply and learn as much as possible, because the application plays a major role here. And one more thing, that is there is, Monica, is an opportunity that is genetically. So they have mentioned here genetically modified plants, genetically modified plants. That means, Monica, there are botanists, if I'm not mistaken, the article number 1, they
Yes,
have measured that you can develop plants which can be adjusted to a particular region. The weather conditions, it can be changed. It can make a resistance for the weather. Correct, Monica? Yes or no?
yes,
So
sir.
there can be a situation, in order to increase the production, we can start, I can say, a plantation. So I'll write down here, start a plantation, start a plantation at Northlandia. At Northlandia, or which place, students, if you do not mind, neighboring countries, correct? Because currently this region is not having suitable climate to grow tea. Are you clear with what I'm saying there, Monica?
Yes,
So
sir.
they go ahead with this only. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
So that creates a better aspect at the moment in this. So coming to the next one, students, is if you see this organizational chart, that means they have given you the chart of the company, that is their employee structure. So Monica, when you see the management structure, do you feel anything that is missing in this management structure?
IT.
IT is missing, right? So I'll
Yes.
write down here IT is not there. IT is not there since at the moment, there are digital sales channel. Agree, no, Monica? Yes or no?
Yes,
Digital
sir.
sales channel. So that is one more thing. So IT is not there. So there are digital sales channel. Any other things, Monica, that is not given a priority at the moment, if you do not mind? One
Getting
thing,
raw materials
no,
without auctions.
health and safety has not been given much priority. What do you think, Monica? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That is one more factor, students, of their internal weaknesses. So health and safety is one more critical aspect. And the other thing is lack of corporate governance. Because Monica, you see, this organization is a listed organization, okay, and it's not a new company as well. It's a company which is established for a longer term. But do you see any corporate governance mentioned here, Monica? Like
No, sir.
example, the non-executive directors, they have just given the names only, but the question arises is, do they have the committees, like the audit committees, remuneration committees? No, right? So that
No,
is not.
sir.
And the other one is, I can specifically mention lack of research and development. Students, I don't think that we do have a research and development unit at the moment. So lack of research and development also plays a major role, because do we have anyone that is specifically working on the research and development, Monica, at the moment? I don't think so, right?
No, sir.
No. So students, if you observe, these are the main factors of the weakness. And one more strength, again, it's a counter attack only. The thing is good reputation among the external, or I can say the expatriate community. Are you clear with that, Monica? Yes or no?
Yes,
Because
sir.
they have a good networking around the expatriate community. So that is the only exports they have. So one more weakness, which can be an opportunity as well, lack of presence in the global market. Are you clear with that, Monica? Yes or no? Because
Yes, sir.
not much present in the global market at the
Sir,
moment.
it can be opportunity too, sir.
Yes, it can be opportunity too. So I'll just write down here, there is a possibility, there is a possibility to improve the market expansion. Correct, no, Monica? Yes or no? Because
Yes,
we
sir.
can generally go ahead with the market expansion as well. So students get this point of view very, very clearly, which is very important and easier to get the understanding and the application as well. So So the thing is, no sales director currently managed by marketing department. I can completely agree with you, but the problem here is they are mostly with the accounts management. So, so Maunika, do you see in the accounts management, there is something called accounts manager. They are indirectly sales manager. What do you think, Mr. Kumar? Because they try to sell the products, and what they generally do is they have the opportunity or they have the independence to give discounts as well, and they generally observe the shelf space in the market. So one thing I can generally say is the sales function is completely delegated to accounts managers. Now, one why I say it's a weakness is, Monica, there can be fraud. What do you think? Yes or no, Monica?
Yes,
Chances
sir.
of fraud. The reason is, students, you get what I'm saying here. They have the eligibility to give discounts as much as they want. So the problem arises is there can be a bigger situation of a fraud taking place. There can be a bigger situation of a fraud taking place as well. So students, before moving forward, any questions you have in this, you can feel free to ask. And one more strength we have, Monica, is the products are the products are charged at a premium. Yes or no? At a premium. Makes sense or doesn't make sense?
Yes,
100%
sir.
makes sense.
High pricing and high quality.
High quality, and also the consumer feedback is used for new product development. Example, Monica, that strong tea, they generally tuck the consumer preference, because they were saying some consumers generally use 2 tea bags in order to make it strong, correct? So based on that feedback only, they were able to do it, of course. Is that clear, Monica? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this goes very in detail as well. So I can say another strength they have is sustainability, sustainability in production. Because students observe it very carefully, sustainability in production is a very, very important thing, students, that you need to keep in mind. Because sustainability in production is important because they have efficient packaging, efficient production system as well. So that is clearly mentioned at the moment. So the only thing is they are too much focused on black tea. So can I write down here? Black tea has been well focused without much diversity, or that means in overall over dependency. Correct? No, Monica? Yes or no? Do you feel they have?
Yes, sir.
So the sophisticated digital buying system is I can say it's a strength at the moment, because that generally guides you to go to the auction. Correct? No, Monica? The digital buying
Yes, sir.
system, the digital buying system for auctions. So that's a good thing. It saves their time, everything. So that's a good point of view at the moment. Now, coming into the next one, Monica, do we have like a strong presence in the digital industry, or it's moderate? What do you think, Monica? In
No,
the
sir.
moderate, right?
Presence, no, sir.
Moderate presence in the online sector. Agree? No?
Yes, sir.
So that is also done. So that clearly shows these major factors. Now, let's move on to the threat. One thing that we can generally say is US dollar price fluctuation. Can that be a threat, Monica? Yes or no? Because if you see,
Yes,
when
sir.
you're going to buy the, if I'm not mistaken, tea, the US dollar price fluctuation plays a major role. So I'll just mention here IAS 21, just for your note. And another thing that we can say is recessions in the supply countries, in the supply countries. Now, that can also cause a factor, no, Monica, because if the recession hits on the supply countries, like the Asian countries, if they do not have money to send these things, that will be a bigger issue for them. So that's very important. So that is the basic point of view here. So any other questions, Monica? Is it clear? Because the climate
Yes,
factor
sir.
is general, natural factor, which we can't change anything. So that's what we have already mentioned, that we can go with the genetically modified plants. So that is one opportunity we have mentioned at the moment. So any other point of view, students, please be very specific and consider the threat as well. Consider the threats as much as possible. I'll write your point, Monica. Blenders, I can say turnover. Correct, Monica? Yes or no? Because
Yes.
blender turnover, because if they leave the company, it can be a bigger threat. So attract new players in the industry. A competitor work as collaborative. So that's a good point. So that's a good point. So I can write down here new market space. New market space can be acquired. Example B2B also we can go. And then coming here, Hattler revenue is higher than piping. No, that is, I think they may have other products as well, as we discussed, like the green tea. It's not
Yes, sir.
mentioned, right? Because we are only focused on the black tea, and the two categories are the loose tea and the, I can say, the paper bag tea. These are the only two aspects that we generally have at the moment. So another thing is, now if you see the employee base, now 700 staffs at the factory, 700 staffs at the factory, and then the other one is 200 what? 200 staffs at the buying, marketing, and administration. Are you clear with that, Monica? Yes or no?
Yes,
700
sir.
staffs at the factory, 200 staffs at buying, marketing, and administration. So if you see, North India is the only place they are working at the moment. So I can say that the operating scale is very huge. What do you think, Monica? Very huge. So don't know
Yes.
whether the machinery, they have mentioned about the machineries. If you have observed here, how the machineries cut the uh, tea bags. Can you remember, Monica? There's article here, the tea
Yes,
bag
sir.
factory. So my question here is 700 staffs. Can there be a situation of downsizing taking place in the organization if the machines can do the work properly
Yes.
compared
Yes,
with?
sir.
So
Through
students, can
through
I just
appraisal, sir.
correct? So can I write down here one opportunity is improve improve the production based on the new manufacturing processes. And the threat that will be causing here is staff redundancy. Correct, no, Monica? Yes or no? Staff redundancy. There can be a staff
Yes, sir.
redundancy as well at the moment, students. So just be very much specific to that as much as possible. And Monica, they have mentioned about the peppermint infusion. So can I just write down here a flavored tea? Yes or no, Monica? Can we go ahead with the flavored tea? Possible, no?
Yes.
That means infusion based beverage, because students, that's possible, because now we have the lime tea. Correct, no, Monica, if I'm not mistaken. Now the
Yes, sir.
lime tea is again generally produced in a tea bag where the lime taste comes. Ginger tea is also there, correct? So there can be infusion oriented items as well. So students, my point of view here, the major threat is this human rights violation, Monica, because I always believe the most challenging part in I can say plantation sector is the developing countries, the poor working conditions. That is the major factor that generally affects the business. Now, again, they say auctions are transparency, but still, can there be fraud in the auction process? So I'll write down here, fraud in the auction process. But that fraud can affect your reputation, yes or no? Affecting company reputation. Makes sense, no, students? Affecting the company reputation. Monica, just want to ask you one question. Were you
Yes,
able to calculate the gearing ratio?
yes, sir.
What was the gearing ratio?
Minutes, sir.
Malit, by chance, were you able to calculate the gearing ratio?
No, sir. No, not. I missed it.
Anyone who calculated the gearing ratio, can you please put
53.56%, sir.
53.56%? Okay, so I'll just do a reconfirmation and see whether is it 53.53%. Because students, I just want to make sure. So here 700, 1300. So effectively more than 50%. Correct. I think that's correct. So can I write down one thing? Students, can someone confirm me whether the gearing is more than 50%, students? Debt divided by debt plus equity. Debt divided by debt plus equity into 100. I believe that's again more than 50% for sure. Correct, no, Monica? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So I'll write down here the gearing ratio is more than 50%. Therefore, the considerations of the WACC needs to be analyzed, because this is a very important statistics at a finance manager. Because Monica, now if you see, if we are going to a new market development or new product development, at the end of the day, what matters is the application. Correct, no, Monica? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So students, before moving forward with the other areas, I just need to do one more area on the business ecosystem. Any questions you have here, you can ask me, students. Anyway, don't worry. We can improve this what even more in detail when we are doing it. But just remember, students, we are not a tea plantation. We buy tea and we package it and we sell that. Correct? No, Monica, is that clear for you?
Yes, sir.
Now, example, Monica, you know Toblerone, right? You know Toblerone, right? So,
Yes,
do
sir.
you think, do they have cocoa plantation? No.
No ideas, sir.
They buy cocoa from Africa, countries like Ghana, and what they do through an auction and they manufacture as a chocolate. Are you clear, no, Monica? Because
Yes,
you
sir.
see, most of these chocolates which are produced in the Western countries, the cocoa is taken from Africa. So get that understanding very clearly. So higher raw material cost of total 40% needs to be reevaluated. But the problem is, Malit, that 40% cost is an uncontrollable cost. The main reason is, Malit, that is the major raw material that is required. Example, if you see you are running a garments company, your fabric cost is the major cost. Correct, no, Malit? Fabric cost cannot be avoided. So here it's the main thing. So no designated suppliers. No, you can't have designated suppliers, because if you see, this is a market like oil and gas. You don't have any designated. So what happens is the auctions plays the major role. The price can go up, the price can come down as well. So no innovation until tea bags are introduced. No, they have invented there is an innovation. They have invented a sealed coil. I'll just show it to you. There was a patent they had. They had a patent also, students. I'll just show it to you so that it's very clear. So thank you for that question. So here they have the company. The company also uses a patented process. This sentence, page number 12, that seals foil that contains loose teas and tea bags so that they remain fresh for longer. So one thing is they have this patented process of seal the foil. They have the top version. You can seal it after you take the tea. So that is one innovative factor I can generally say. I'll just write down here. Seal the foil. Patents for seal the foil. Patents for seal the foil. Patent for seal the foil. So that is one more aspect, students. And one more thing, students, just to be very specifically talking here, is the threat is advertisement relating to health. Did you observe that, Monica? Yes or no? Because they said that you can
Yes,
do any
sir.
advertisement, but advertisement relating to health, relating to health without scientific proof, without scientific proof needs to be considered. Are you clear with that, Monica? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Any questions there, Monica?
No, sir.
Because here they have clearly mentioned about the antioxidants. So if they have mentioned anything related to health benefits, then they need to prove that scientifically. So there can be a situation of a legal threat. So I'll write down here IAS 37, legal threat. There can be a situation of a legal threat, students. Again, observe it very clearly. Legal threat on advertisement. Sometimes the marketing department would have done some advertisement which is causing a legal threat as well. So any questions, students, you have, you can ask me. I think the SWOT has improved very much for the moment. A JIT technology, minimum storage, no. The problem here is tea, and it's coming from the area naturally produced. So naturally produced, there can be excess production, minimum production, we don't know. Agricultural items, no. So agricultural items can go up or go down. Correct, no, Monica? Yes or no? Now, example, Monica, for rice, can you have just-in-time system? Rice, no, right? Because what happens is, in case you order a quantity, the supply is less, then you will have a problem. Are you clear with what I'm saying there, Monica? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Malik, did you get that point of view, Malik? You order
Yes.
1,000 kg of rice, and what happens is the harvest has produced only 700 kg, then you will have a 300 deficit, because these are naturally produced items. But Toyota car is not natural. It's purely artificially generated vehicle, so that cannot be done. So designated accounts with key customers, that's a good one, but that's again having a risk of fraud, as we discussed, because they can be very closely and create high discounts as well. Okay, now Monica, coming to the next one, this is very important to improve your critical thinking, which we say as business ecosystem. What is that? Business
Ecosystem.
ecosystem. So students, now this topic I have selected just to make sure your thought process are very clear. So if you see, business ecosystems are designed based on two things. One is complexity, that is the government regulations. What is that? The government regulations in an industry. In an industry. Are you clear with that, Monica?
Yes, sir.
Example, the license. Now, if you want to start a tea shop in India, I don't think government regulation is strict. Anyone who has money can start a tea stall. Correct, no, Monica? Yes or
Yes.
no?
Yes,
But
sir.
if you want to start a hospital, I don't think it's very easier, because the government regulations are very high. So I'll write down here example hospital. Example hospital versus a tea stall. Correct? Because tea stalls are very less complexity oriented industry. Hospitals are high. And the other one is known as the orchestration. Orchestration is the formal relationship between the market participants. Now, if you observe, Monica, when you go for example, a company like a mobile phone, Monica, have you observed
Collaboration, sir. Kind of
there is
collaboration.
high collaboration? That means the charger, everything looks like the same, correct? So the
Yes, sir.
collaboration is very high in that perspective. So some industries are very much. So that is the basically issue. So now students, if you observe in the business ecosystem, there is a small type of, I can generally say, an organizational performance matrix. Orchestration. So, Monica, the orchestration is also high. The complexity is also high. This industry we say as lion's pride. Are you clear with that, Monica?
Yes,
Now,
sir.
lion's pride is like the airline manufacturing sector. Airline manufacturing. Because until now, Monica, there are only two players. That is Boeing and Airbus. Correct, no, Monica? Yes or no? Boeing and Airbus.
Yes.
So the good thing about this is this market will be a very, very longer term product life cycle. Unless and otherwise there is a interference by a third party country. Are you clear with that, Monica? So it is the lion's pride segment. And the complexity is low, but the orchestration is high. We generally say this as
Wolfpack.
Wolfgang. Wolfgang is generally an example of oligopoly market. What market, Monica? Oligopoly market. Where what they generally do is in an oligopoly market, they generally have a connection between many players and they dominate the market. You get what I'm saying, Monica? So example, what I can say is in this case, the tea market in Northlandia is a wolf gang. Do you agree with me, students? Yes or no? Because you see, so many players are there. And if you see effectively, their shares are equal also. Correct, no, Monica? Yes or no? And the
Yes, sir.
government interference is very, very low. So this is a classic example of a lion, a wolf gang. Can I get a Y in the chat box, students? If you got that clarity, students. So many players are there, not a huge price difference as well, and all are unitedly working together. So it's a wolf gang business. So they will always have a very stable price. Now you see telecommunication providers, they are wolf gang. They are always wolf gang. So if you see complexity is also low and the orchestration is also low, we say this as a shark tank. What is that? Shark tank. So what happens is, Monica, example, farmers, especially in the third world country. What about the plantation? Plantation is shark tank. What do you think, Monica? Yes or no? The tea plantation. Because we don't know in the developing country. I'm not telling about the developed country. In the developing country is a shark tank. Malit, can I have a discussion with you? Malit, can I ask you a question? Can the wolf exploit the sharks? Possible or not possible? Yes or no? Example, the farmers, the plantation who works day and night. These guys can buy it at a lower price and sell it in the market for a higher price. Is it possible, Malik?
Possible, sir.
Possible, no? So
Yes.
students get that application properly. In this case, we have a two connect. Look at this carefully. We are buying the goods from a very poor market that you need to clearly observe it. because the market which we are buying is not a rich, because the students from the African region can clearly understand how the West exploits them, because the cocoa, everything is generally produced in Africa, which is highly expensive in the other countries, but they buy it at a very lower price from the African countries, and they sell it at a very higher price in the world. So I think that's the capitalism concept. I think that is very clear. So it's little high level of thinking, but make sure that is fine. And high orchestration and high complexity, low orchestration, we generally say this as a hornet nest. So the hornet nest is example of an hornet nest is university. Now, if you see, Monica, the universities are different, right? In practical world, hospitals are different. They have their own curriculums. So what happens? But the government restrictions are very high. Every college, every university needs to go through the application of what? They need to go through the NAC certification, all those things. Correct, no, Monica, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yes, sir.
today, the importance of this lesson is that now you are a finance manager working in a Wolfgang industry. Are you getting what I'm saying, Monica? Now you are getting that maturity level. You are in the Wolfgang industry. So when you're giving your answers needs to be more aligned towards that Wolfgang sector. Are you clear with that, Monica? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So students, any questions you have, you can ask me, because on the upcoming class on Thursday, we will do the ratios. But today, make sure students, you take a printout of this and paste it out somewhere. But your mind should be working in these two areas very well. Any questions, students, you can ask me. If you do not have any questions, you can please put Y in the chat box. But I'll call your names. Monica, any questions?
No, sir.
Malit, any questions?
No, sir.
Luke, any questions?
No, sir.
Mr. Kumar, any questions? Adil, any questions?
No, sir. No, sir.
So can you explain me this Wolfgang this part again?
Wolfgang means they are having less government standard and they are internally connected with each other, like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. So in this case, there are so many players in the market. So they generally are highly interconnected. And what happens is they control the market with their internal collaboration. Is that clear?
Okay, so clear.
Like
Okay.
Dialog, Mobitel, Airtel,
Yes.
all those things.
Yes.
Badwell, any questions?
No question for now, sir.
Thank you. So students, what we will do is we'll go through the ratio class on the Thursday. So I will share this and the videos will be shared most probably by early morning. So thank you very much, students. Have a wonderful evening. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you.